invite the mayor to make a few remarks.
Thank you all for being here. This is just awesome to look out and see this whole gym packed. We weren't sure what would happen scheduling a caucus in the middle of football playoffs. We're happy the Patriots qualified for a Saturday game. Thank you, Governor Kunin, for those warm words, and thank you for your decisive support 3 years ago, and again, your support today. More importantly, thank you for all you've done, all of your service to the city, the state, the country, and all your many roles, and in your time since you left public office, when you've continued to write important books and energize a whole generation of Vermont women to run for office. You continue to be an inspiration to all of us, and it is a real honor to have you with us here today. I want to thank Fauna Hurley for stepping up and taking on this job of being the Democratic Party chair for the city of Burlington. It's not an easy job. Fauna, you're doing a great job with it, not just making today happen, but everything you're doing to bring new energy and people into the Democratic Party. We really appreciate it. Thank you, Fauna. I also want to thank Jake Perkinson, who is here not only for agreeing to be the parliamentarian today, hopefully we won't have as many difficult decisions we had 3 years ago, but for everything you've done, Jake, to rebuild this Democratic Party here in the city and statewide, and for your personal friendship and support. It's been a great honor, Jake. Thank you. It took a ton of volunteers to make today happen. I want to thank them. I also want to thank, people may remember kind of super volunteer from 3 years ago, one of the many great volunteers on the campaign, Jen Caucus. Well, she's back here at this caucus today, and she's my campaign manager for this event, for the next couple months. And we're super thankful to her. Everyone knows her, and we're working with her over the next 7 weeks. Thank you, Joan, for that incredible nomination, and thank you also for your strong and early support 3 years ago. I don't think I'd be standing here now without that. The city is very lucky to have had your steady hand on the helm of the City Council for the last 3 years, and your incredible advocacy for more than a decade now for quality of life issues that made a huge difference in this city. Thank you, Joan. Share my deep appreciation for the other Democratic city councilors who are here today. You know, mayor cannot be successful, cannot get things done in our city under our system without a strong working relationship with the council. The 7 Democratic councilors we've had in this session have been amazing. Could you all stand up? I'd like to just have all of you recognized. You may be all standing already in fact, so raise your hands. And first of all, Karen Paul, I want to thank you for your partnership working on the city financial issues that we already talked about. I'm going to talk a little bit more, but also for your partnership and vision with Plan BTV and making that happen and fighting to keep our gem of an airport out of financial crisis. One other thing I want to note, I want to thank you, Karen, for your decision a year ago to join the Democratic Party. You made the party stronger, and everyone here in this room appreciates it. I want to thank Dave Hartnett for championing schools and parks issues and bringing common sense to our Monday night gatherings. I want to thank Tom Ayers for your passion and your focus on pedestrian issues and making our streets safer for our kids and the elderly out in the New North End, and for helping all of us get 2015 started right through your leadership on first night. Thank you, Tom. And the entire city owes a great gratitude to Chip Mason for his painstaking work as the chair of the City Ordinance Committee, which over the last couple of years has taken on an incredible number of complex, important issues, and Chip has been right there making sure we come out to good decisions. Thanks, Chip, for everything you've done. And finally, I want to give a special thank you, and this one's a little bit sad, but I do want to say thank you to Norm Blay and Bianca LeGrand, who have chosen not to seek re-election this March. Norm has served Ward 6 with distinction and real wisdom for years now, and Bianca has been a true barrier breaker in this city, and both of you are to be deeply missed. Thank you for your service. Again, I want to thank the many state legislators that are here with us today. And I also saw John Tracy representing Senator Leahy's office over here, and appreciate John, you and the Senator being represented here today. Finally, I want to say thank you to my parents, Michael and Ethel, for coming up from Heartland today and being here at the caucus, and for all those dinner conversations over the many years, which instilled in me the sense that politics were important and could be noble at times. And I want to say thank you to my daughters, Leland and Ada, who I think are in the back, and my incredible wife, Stacy, who has been such a partner on this adventure and supporter every day for the last almost 19 years now that we've been here. Thank you, Stacy. 3 years ago, you came to this Democratic caucus and you did something radical. You voted for a fresh start, nominating someone who had never served an elected office before because you knew we needed to do things differently as a city. 3 months later, the voters overwhelmingly did the same thing because we are a city that had lost its way. Our municipal finances were in disarray, many of the city's initiatives were stuck and drifting, and trust in City Hall was gone. As bad as it was, we all sensed that even worse news lay ahead. The city credit rating was headed towards junk bond status. One of the world's largest banks was litigating for the removal of a city-owned utility. The Department of Public Works, water, sewer, and traffic enterprises all face unprecedented financial troubles, and our airport had the lowest credit rating of any airport in the continental United States. That was before Gene Richards was appointed to the director. Our parks, garages, and firehouses were crumbling, and large sections of our beloved bike path had been washed away. In short, the foundation of our city's greatness and prosperity was eroding. As we gather here today, Burlington faces a much different and much brighter future. After 3 years of hard work, collaboration, and focus by my administration, the City Council, and the voters, the signs of Burlington's resurgence are all around us and woven into our daily lives. Our commitment to fixing the city's finances as the top priority has resulted in significant improvement of the city's financial position across the board. These efforts are already saving Burlingtonians money, and as long as we do not go backwards, in the years ahead we will keep tens of millions of dollars in the pockets of Burlingtonians instead of transferring them to Wall Street bondholders collecting high interest rates. You can feel the progress under your wheels as you ride on the rebuilt bike path. Last summer, under the dynamic leadership of the new Parks and Recreation and Waterfront Director Jesse Bridges, who is here with us today. Sorry, where is Jesse? Just over there. We broke ground on the first phase of our initiative to modernize, expand, and enhance the entire 8-mile-long bike path. You can see the progress when you take your family to a city park as well. It's great to see Tim Jarvis here. I saw him earlier. Tim, where are you? Tim also over here. Tim, we all saw a lot of Tim 3 years ago at MPA meetings and city council meetings reminding city officials that, amazingly, Burlington's girls' high school softball team was playing their home games in Williston or Middlebury or wherever their opponent was from, and because there wasn't a single quality softball field here in the city of Burlington that drained in the spring. Last spring, Tim was able to watch his daughter play her senior year home games at a revitalized Letty Park. Hockey players and their parents are enjoying a city rink that's been brought back to life. Patrons at the boathouse no longer get wet when it rains. And in all, 61 Penny for Parks projects have been completed in the last couple of years using existing resources and using them right. Looking out over our beloved waterfront, the progress is also clear. The giant power lines that marred the views of the lake for decades are now gone. We have refreshed Waterfront Park, and last August we broke ground with a voter-approved plan to transform the northern waterfront, the first major waterfront improvement since the early 1990s. Throughout the city, our public works projects are at last moving again. In the Pine Street corridor and around us here in the Old North End, we are seeing unprecedented levels of investment, job creation, and important new housing. And after City Attorney Eileen Blackwood and Chief Administrative Officer Bob Rustin and the rest of the city team worked until nearly 11 p.m. on New Year's Eve. I think Pat Robbins was on the phone for part of that as well. See Pat, and where is Eileen? Is Eileen here? I want her to be recognized. No, she was trying to make it. After they all worked until nearly midnight on New Year's Eve, we began 2015 with the dismissal of the Citibank lawsuit over the Burlington Telecom. We have now definitively ended a long and unfortunate chapter in the city's history, protecting taxpayers from any further harm and saving a public utility from destruction. Burlington Telecom today is profitable and growing, and with the cloud of litigation lifted for good, BT's rebirth has become a symbol of the fresh start that we've earned in this room together and throughout the city. While our work cleaning up the city's finances and addressing the city's stagnating initiatives is not done, many of our most serious problems have been addressed. We now have the opportunity to lift our eyes to the horizon, to focus on long-term opportunities and challenges, and define the future we want for our city and our children. This election will be about that future. Voters on March 3rd will have a very clear choice on the mayoral ballot. One option would be to return us to the organizational culture, the policies, and some of the same failed leadership that created the Burlington Telecom lawsuit and the other messes that we are just now emerging from. The Democratic Party has just given the people of Burlington the option to keep moving forward. If re-elected, I will keep Burlington moving forward by bringing energy and resources to bear on 5 major areas of focus over the next 3 years. 1, we will continue moving forward with job creation. In the years ahead, we will continue modernizing the post-industrial areas of our waterfront, accelerating Burlington's efforts to become a great tech city, and reforming the permitting system that makes it difficult to grow jobs in the downtown. However, we will not stop there. Tomorrow at the City Council, we will ask them to create a ballot item for this town meeting day to begin a major new economic development initiative to improve our downtown sidewalks, street trees, and other public infrastructure, paid for with TIF funds that do not impact local property tax rates. And during this campaign, we will announce our plans for funding the next phase of the bike path expansion and other improvements to our public spaces that will bring more visitors to Burlington. 2, we will continue moving forward toward a more affordable, walkable, livable, and sustainable Burlington. One of the most positive trends in the country in the last 20 years is the dramatic increase in the number of people wanting to live in our cities instead of moving further out into the suburbs. Unfortunately, the numbers show that Burlington has largely missed out on this opportunity. And as a result, Burlington has become one of the most expensive cities in the country to live in. We must reaffirm our commitment to house our most vulnerable Burlingtonians and fix the broken housing market by passing and implementing the 17-point housing action plan my administration released in November. This plan, if implemented successfully, will accomplish many city goals. More people living downtown will make Burlington more affordable and vibrant, increase municipal revenues, improve the quality of life in our historic neighborhoods, help our businesses recruit and retain talent, and much more. 3, we will continue moving forward with municipal savings and efficiencies. Over the past 3 years, we achieved about half of the $8 million in long-term cost savings that we had set as a target. We are positioned and focused to complete this goal through technological efficiencies, the completion of a major push to make our city buildings more energy efficient, and completing the reform of the city's pension system that we've been working towards with our public employees for over a year. 4, we will continue moving forward by making municipal government more effective. Building on our past efforts in this area, we are in the process of hiring for a new Chief Innovation Officer position to improve our use of municipal technology and to create a culture of continuous improvement. And soon, we will roll out the city's first ever 10-year capital plan to emphasize cost saving, preventative maintenance, and to ensure that we never return to the days of decaying public infrastructure that marked the prior administration. Finally, we will continue moving forward by doing everything we can to make Burlington a city of inclusion and opportunities for all. This country was founded on the principle that all Americans should have an equal right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. However, the country we live in today has not fully realized this promise. Even here in Burlington, nearly half of the children reach kindergarten unprepared, and a disproportionate number of these kids come from poor homes. This pattern becomes more pronounced and harder to change every year as kids get older. Far too often, these children who start school behind, graduate at unusually low rates, earn less as adults, suffer higher rates of incarceration and drug use, and enjoy a far lower life expectancy. It does not have to be this way. For decades, we have known that the driver of these outcomes is childhood poverty. What has changed in recent years is that we know now the solution. Done right, investments in high-quality child care for children between birth and age 5 eliminate the learning gap between poor children and their peers and create enormous, documented public returns on investment over time. Woo! In the days ahead, we will release plans for an ambitious Burlington Early Learning Initiative, and our goal will be nothing short of ensuring that all Burlington children have the opportunity to lead full, healthy, successful lives. And as part of this focus on opportunity, we will continue our work to make Burlington a truly inclusive community. Last summer, we had a ceremony in front of City Hall to mark the 50th anniversary of the passage of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. We celebrated the courage and sacrifice that produced that landmark legislation and recommitted the city to further progress. Events since around the country have been a harsh reminder of how far we still have to go to truly fulfill our nation's ideals of justice and liberty. The city is deeply engaged in an effort to eliminate racial bias and institutional barriers to inclusion and equity from our practices and policies. In November, we adopted a city diversity and equity strategic plan that included dozens of needed reforms, and the most senior members of city government meet regularly to push these reforms forward. One example of this effort is the ballot item that you'll see when you go to the polls on town meeting day. It makes it possible for all residents, regardless of citizenship, to serve as department heads. I'll tell you, in my time as mayor, that's been a real issue. It's kept us from getting the top candidates. Regardless of citizenship, after this item passes and our charter is changed, all residents will be able to volunteer on our boards and commissions. If I am re-elected in March, this incremental, long-term work will continue, because when I think about the urgency of becoming a more inclusive city, I'm reminded of my own daughters and their circle of friends. A little more than a year ago, late on a fall afternoon, Stacy and I received phone calls. We were both out of the house, and we sprinted back to the house, picked up our overnight bags that we had pre-packed, and drove to a distant corner of the state. At about 8 p.m. that night, we took into our arms the 3-hour-old baby who would soon become Ada Champlain Weinberger. In an instant, we became... We became an even more multicultural family than we already were, adding African American to the Russian, Jewish, Chinese ethnicities and cultures already merged in the Weinberger home. I'm committed to doing everything I can to see that Ada and Lynn and their friends and all of Burlington's children grow up in a city in which diversity enriches our community, where inclusion is valued and practiced, and where our children's dreams flourish in the face of diminishing institutional barriers. In summary, the choice before the city now is whether to keep moving forward or to return to the leadership and attitude that put the city in such trouble 3 years ago. Now is not the time to turn back. The people in this room will not let that happen. The people of Burlington are too engaged and too committed to allow this wonderful place to go back. I ask for your support in the weeks ahead to make sure that together on March 3rd, Burlington continues moving forward. Thank you all.